we are here to do an update to a video that I did a few years ago, which were my all-time favorite authors. Every year around Thanksgiving, I do, my all-time favorite books or my top 10 favorite books, my top 100 favorite authors, something that's celebratory. So this year I decided that that would be an updated top 10 favorite authors. But when I went back and looked at the original list, I realized things have changed a lot. And I think even at the time, I think I was trying to kind of walk the line of authors that have been favorite authors, but maybe aren't anymore as much. I'm not exactly sure what I was doing, to be honest, but that list is definitely not accurate anymore. So I was going through and trying to define, what is a favorite author? And I guess where I've landed is, a favorite author to me is whatever they put out, I'll pick it up. And I look forward to it. They are reliable, just like they give me what I want them to give me. And even if they're not, so I guess I'm not defining it as they have the most number of 5 stars I've ever read. It's more, they are consistently giving me what I want them to give me, and what they're giving me is something I love. So, okay, so that's kind of my thought process. It's a little nebulous, but with that in mind, I was trying to define, who are the top 10? And I could not define more than 9 that I think really truly fit that. There's a couple of authors who I think, are maybe on the come up and could end up making this list. I think of someone like Carmen Maria Machado. I have loved both of the books that I've read from her. And I think if she has a few more collections that come out, possibly she could be somebody who makes this list because, I feel like she really delivers what I want in that area. But yeah, I don't feel like I have more than 9 that I can solidly say for sure belong on this list. And I also realize that they fall very neatly into 3 categories, or 3 tiers of favorite. So the top tier, there's some newness in there, some change, which you'll see. And I think I had some kind of sobering realizations in making this list, guys, in terms of how my own tastes have just changed and evolved, and what some of these authors are doing has changed and evolved. So with that being said, we'll start at the lowest tier and work our way up. I'm not going to hard rank these except for the top tier, but yeah, let's go on this journey together. Spoilers, there are 0 men on this list. And I also realized that very dominated by a certain genre, because I have a certain genre where it's just a lot more reliable than others. So anyway, let's start at tier 3. And this tier I'm going to call sort of on the come up or on the way outs. I don't know. These are maybe the cusp. This is my cusp tier. So the 3 authors I put in this tier are Roxane Gay, Kingfisher, and Flannery O'Connor. So Roxane Gay, I feel delivers the sort of personal, nonfiction, essayist, observational writing that I love. I feel particularly Hunger is that book for me. That is it's not my top 10 books now. It's definitely on the cusp. Hunger is great. Bad Feminist is great. I really love her short stories as well, particularly Aidi. That is my favorite collection from her. The way she writes, she does literary fiction, and I guess literary nonfiction is sort of her sweet spot. She does that in the way I like. She's my favorite currently writing literary author. Like I said, Carmen Maria Machado may kind of come in there right under her here soon if there's more that's released. But for that type of writing, Roxane Gay is my go-to. Someone on the come up is Kingfisher. So I'm not sure that I've ever actually given Kingfisher a 5-star, but her kind of books are my kind of books. They are either fantasy that have sort of a lighter comedic element and also usually a romantic element thrown in. They are fantasy romances, so romantasy. She has that, and then she also has horror, but all of it has a specific voice to it that just works for me. I really like her humor. She also has YA stuff that I think is great. I believe she also writes under a different name, which is Ursula Vernon, maybe? And I've not even tried any of that yet, but she is prolific. She has a ton of backlist stuff. She has short stories, which I love. She's not an author who overwrites and has books that are too long, which is a pet peeve of mine. I've yet to read a clunker from her. I'm sure that I'll hit that eventually, but every book I read from her, I'm just like, yes, this gave me what I wanted it to give me, and I just keep falling more and more in love with her work. So I feel like she's one on the come up. And then Flannery O'Connor is the last one I'm going to put in this tier because I think historically she would have been a lot higher. When I think about my own writing in the past, she's been very inspirational to me in terms of some of her theming and the kind of settings she uses and her use of language as a Southern author. So I'm not going to say I dislike any of that. I just think that I don't, I've read what there is to read from her, and she's not one that I find myself like going back to over and over again these days. So she's kind of on the cusp. And the other person I should probably put in here is Jane Austen. I just realized she would probably be the 10th. And I would also put her in here because she just doesn't have enough books for her to feel higher than this third tier. Okay, cool. We made it to 10. Jane Austen's the last one. I've never disliked a Jane Austen book. I only have one new one left to read that's fully finished, and I've not read the partial ones. I've been like saving them. But yeah, she's probably, yeah, we can put her as our last one because similar to Flannery O'Connor, it's not that I've read anything I didn't like. It's just there's only so much, and because she is no longer with us, there's not new stuff. So there's just, a finite amount. So we'll put her as the last one in tier 3 and bringing us to our top 10. I'm just so delighted that that's where we landed at this. Okay. Editing Mara popping in to say, now that I'm watching this back, my immediate thought was, what about Rebecca Roanhorse? So I'm going to just insert her real quick as somebody else I would put in this tier 3 category. So we now have 11 authors. Aren't you guys proud? Because she consistently is writing things that I love. I don't think any of her books have just straight up not worked for me. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'll have a different opinion depending on how this current trilogy ends next year. But I think I would put Rebecca Roanhorse on this tier as well. If I'm going to include Jane Austen, I feel like I also want to include Rebecca. So there you go. Now we have 11 authors. Isn't that thrilling? So that is tier 3, which is the cusp. Moving on to tier 2. There are 3 authors in here, and these are just tried and true. There's a lot of it out there, and each of these authors does what they do exactly to my these are just go-to authors for me. One that might be a surprise is in this tier. What am I calling this tier? It's between the cusp and the all-time, the creme de la creme. So these are solid favorites. One that you may be surprised is not in the creme de la creme is Ilona Andrews, which is a change. As I find myself reading more, and as I get further away from my original reading of the Kate Daniels series, I do find I don't have quite the same passion for Ilona Andrews, and I would no longer say that they are my favorite currently writing author. I think that goes to someone else at this point, but I still love what they do. I love their backlist. I love their sense of humor and the kinds of worlds they build, that sort of urban fantasy into romance. They just do that super well. Their world building can't be matched. I love the way they do action adventure kind of sequences. I do think that they benefit from traditional publishing, and they're moving more and more away from that in terms of the editing. And I think that's part of why they're maybe not my favorite right now, my very creme de la creme, but I do absolutely love Ilona Andrews, and particularly the Hidden Legacy series. I would actually say now that probably is my favorite Ilona Andrews series. But The Innkeeper is great, and Kate Daniels is like what brought me to the dance, so I will always have a great deal of love and affection for the Kate Daniels series. I'm enjoying the new ones. Yeah, so Ilona Andrews still have a lot of love for, but is out of my like creme de la creme tier, shockingly. Robb and Hobb is a new one on this list, but almost made my creme de la creme tier because just the quality of what Robb and Hobb does in the sort of classic fantasy genre, basic bitch medieval fantasy, even dare I say, what she is doing is the best I've ever read. Better than Tolkien, better than anyone else for my tastes. Themes, the precision of her language, her writing, it's not that her writing is like super flowery or elaborate, but it's very precise. And her pacing, you guys know I have problems with books that are too long. Her books are too long, but somehow I'm not mad at it. Usually her themes I just am obsessed with, her characters, and how you grow to care for them over all of the books. Like Robb and Hobb is just like on another level for my money. And they're so grim. They are grimdark, but because they're not sort of like, I don't think people think of her that way, but like it's dark. So yeah, Robb and Hobb, absolutely solidly a favorite author at this point. And then Jessica Clare / Jessica Sims / Jill Myles / Ruby Dixon. Ain't nobody doing speculative romance better for my tastes. Her humor works for me, her characters work for me, her world building, her plots, her themes, all of it works. And it's camp with a little oomph behind it, because her heroines are always like plucky. I'm gonna figure out how to make this absolutely crappy situation work for what I'm trying to do. And I love that. So yeah, anyway, you guys know I love this author. And I'm trying to think if I've ever given her a full 5-star. It's rare if I have, because, you know, usually there's like something in them that I'm like, oh, I don't know about that, or I don't know about that. But like as a whole, oh, you know what? I think I put The Beast Bride, I think, is an all-time favorite. And then one of her contemporaries under the Jessica Clare name, Playing Games, I think. One of her older contemporaries. I take that back. I've given her a couple of 5 stars. So anyway, she just has a huge oeuvre, a gigantic backlist of things for you to enjoy. And if you like what she does, there's a lot of it. And I like what she does. And that keeps me happy that there's a lot of it. So that is tier 2. And then top tier, which is a change up, I think, from when we last talked in terms of sort of the ranking. These are my 3 all-time favorite authors. And all of them I have a lot of criticisms of, honestly. In terms of on a book level, you have heard me get into a lot of critiques about all 3 of these authors, but I think it's telling that these are the 3 authors I've produced the most content on this channel. I think it's because at the end of the day, these are really my 3 favorites. So these are ranked. Number 3, I'm going to put Nalini Singh. I just love what she does. She does urban fantasy, sci-fi romance. In my opinion, you can really feel the influence of the In Death series in the Side Changeling books, at least, but she does not claim that as a conscious influence, but it has DNA there that I can't quite trace, but I feel like it's there. I'm obsessed with the Side Changeling series. I have a literal full podcast about it. She writes great contemporaries. Rock Hard is one of my favorite contemporaries ever. And then she's also started writing thrillers, and they're also good. There Should Have Been 8 is the new one that came out this year, or is coming out in November, which I recommend. And I just love the variety of things that she writes, and I love her perspective. I love her consistency. Love Nalini Singh. I love her themes. She was doing like intensely interracial romances in an era where that was not getting published much by the mainstream publishing, and like she has been committed to that for her entire romance writing career. I think that's really, her vision of the future is intensely interconnected in a time where that was not normal. And I think that's rad as hell. So yeah, anyway, Nalini Singh, love her. number 3. Number 2, Nora Roberts / Daty Robb. I mean, I'm literally trying to read every single one of her books, all 270 whatever there is at this point. And it's funny because a couple of people who are newer to my channel have mentioned, like, I know you're trying to read all her books, but you seem to give a lot of them 3 stars. That's because a lot of them are like 80s category romance, and that's not my favorite thing from her. What I love is her version of a thriller. Her version of a romantic suspense or mystery or sort of just general family drama. It's her longer books. My favorite one from her is The Obsession. That to me is what I love best from her. She does family dynamics in a way that really works for me. Her suspenses are like the suspense element is there, but it's never too violent or gory for me. It just it works for me. I also really love her contemporary romances. You know, I read In Boonesboro this year, which I think is really cozy and fun. Her her non-category contemporary romances tend to work pretty well for me. So, you know, The Bridal Quartet, In Boonesboro, some of the newer ones. Her older categories are okay. They're fine. Sometimes they're bad, but that's not my favorite mode from her. But even those have a certain cozy quality to them that works for me. So yeah, she, I guess, officially is going to take the crown of my favorite currently writing author. She is, you know, she's getting up there, and I think she is in good health. But eventually that crown may pass to Nalini Singh. For now, she still has it. Oh, and also the In Death series. Obsessed with the In Death series. That's my favorite thing she does. Side note. That's Nora Roberts. Though I should say, the In Death series is propaganda. So if you're not into that, I get it. But I think the alternative future element of it helps me be more okay with that kind of police procedural element. There's that. And then my favorite, I mean, this is like not climactic at all because it's Agatha Christie. Like, duh. If you watch this channel, but at all, you know it's Agatha Christie. She's definitely the author I have made the most content about. Definitely a problematic fave in a lot of ways, but, you know, I think I can look at the elements of what she did that were, you know, of her time versus just her own personal failings. That's a part of, you know, reading any author that you love. Like, they're always gonna have things that you're like, hey, don't love that. But despite that, I just love her kind of mystery. It's really what, you know, it's hard to say what like made me a mystery reader because I did love like the Cat Who books when I was a kid from Lillian Jackson Braun and Sherlock Holmes. Like, I was always a mystery reader, but I think finding Agatha Christie in college just really sealed in and like solidified for life my love of mystery and thriller and suspense. And between that and romance, those are always going to be kind of like my safe genres. Like, they're the ones I read the most because they're the most, like, they're easy to get through normally. But anyway, I'm rambling. All that to say, Agatha Christie, I think, is the one who really like solidified that love for me. So I appreciate that and love that from her. Thank you, Agatha. Unsurprisingly, she's at the top of this list still. And yeah, I don't see that changing anytime soon, but who knows? Life is long, things change. But for now, she is the favorite. And that was my top 10 list of favorite authors. Yeah, we'll see if the next time I feel like this has changed in a meaningful way, we'll check back in. Rick Riordan is kind of in the mix. I don't know if he writes a little bit more, if I read a few more of his series, maybe he'll get in there. But for now, I think this is a good list for at least the next few years. So those were my favorite authors, my updated favorite author list. Let me know what some of your favorite authors are. How do you define what makes an author a favorite author? How do you think about that? And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you're so inclined. I've got all that information listed in the description box below. And I will just talk to you soon. I hope you're having a lovely day and catch you on the next one. Bye!